There is a moment you felt but never fully understood, when a room goes quiet without warning, when strangers look at you longer than they should, when their eyes hold questions their mouths refuse to ask. You thought it was coincidence. You told yourself it meant nothing. But deep down, something inside you whispered a different truth. Because this was never about your appearance, it was never about curiosity. And it was definitely never random. There is a reason silence follows you. There is a reason certain people cannot meet your gaze, while others stare as if they recognize something ancient, something powerful, something dangerous. Tonight, the truth behind those silent stares will be revealed. And once you see it, you will never look at yourself the same way again. You've felt it before. That quiet shift in the air that happens the moment you enter a room, no announcement. No sound. Just a subtle pause, like reality itself took a breath and forgot to release it. People look at you, then quickly look away, not with simple curiosity, but with something heavier. Something they don't have words for. And the strangest part, they never explain it. They just stare and stay silent. For years, you tried to make sense of it. Maybe it was your appearance. Maybe it was anxiety playing tricks on your mind. Maybe it meant nothing at all. But memory keeps whispering otherwise. Classrooms where conversations softened when you walked in. Workplaces where certain eyes watched you a little too closely. Gatherings where someone studied your face as if searching for a forgotten name buried deep inside their soul. They couldn't explain what they felt, because what they sensed wasn't physical, it was deeper. Older. Hidden beneath the surface of ordinary sight. Some felt exposed standing near you, as if secrets they never spoke were suddenly visible. Others felt strangely calm, drawn toward a presence they didn't understand. And a few felt threatened by something they could neither fight nor escape. You called it coincidence. But coincidences don't repeat like this. So ask yourself one question, one you may have been avoiding your entire life. What if they were never staring at you, but at something awakening inside you? The moment you begin to notice the pattern, the world around you subtly changes, not loudly, not dramatically, but in quiet, almost invisible ways that only someone awake would recognize. Because staring is only the beginning. Silence is only the surface. What hides beneath it is resistance. There are people who smile at you in daylight yet speak differently when your back is turned. Their words are softer in front of you, sharper in private. Not because you harmed them, but because something in your presence unsettles what they try so hard to hide. They don't fully understand it themselves. They just feel exposed, like standing in a light that reveals every unfinished truth inside them. And instead of facing that light, they choose shadows, whispers, distance, subtle manipulation dressed as concern. You may have blamed yourself for this shift, wondered what you did wrong, replayed conversations in your mind searching for a mistake that never existed. But betrayal often begins where awareness is born. And the more clearly you start to see, the more uncomfortable your clarity becomes for those still hiding. Watch closely. Some will avoid your eyes. Some will test your boundaries. Some will quietly hope you doubt yourself enough to shrink back into silence. Because if you stay small, they never have to face who they truly are. And here is the truth most people discover too late. When shadows gather this quietly, it means something in the light is growing stronger than they expected. The question is no longer who is watching you, but who fears what you are becoming. Frame as a spiritual alignment tool, journaling method, meditation, or symbolic product that helps chosen ones protect energy and recognize destiny. Present it softly as guidance appearing right when you're ready. There comes a quiet moment, almost invisible, when confusion begins to turn into recognition. Not recognition from others, but recognition inside you. You start to realize the silence surrounding you is not empty, it is listening, watching, measuring something deeper than words could ever explain. Because the truth is far more unsettling than simple curiosity. When people look at you and say nothing, they are not just seeing your face, they are seeing themselves. Your presence becomes a mirror they never asked to stand before. And mirrors are dangerous to those who spend their lives avoiding reflection. Some see their buried kindness and feel peace they cannot name. Around you, their guarded hearts soften without permission. They don't know why your silence feels safe, only that it does. These are the souls who feel strangely calm in your orbit, as if they've known you long before this lifetime had a beginning. But others see something very different. They see the lies they tell themselves, the masks they carefully maintain, the wounds they refuse to heal. And in that instant, Discomfort rises like heat beneath their skin. You never accuse them. You never expose them aloud. Yet your existence alone feels like judgment they cannot escape. Oh, they turn away, or grow cold, or pretend not to notice you at all. Not because you are cruel, but because truth, even silent truth, is unbearable to the unready. This is the loneliness no one prepares you for. Be felt deeply, yet rarely understood. Be surrounded by people, yet sensed from a distance that words cannot cross. And somewhere in the quiet of your thoughts, a question begins to form, slow, careful, undeniable. If strangers can recognize something ancient inside you, then where have they seen you before? A memory without images, a familiarity without history, a connection that exists beyond logic. But recognition is never neutral, because the same light that guides the right souls toward you also reveals your presence to the wrong ones. And not all who notice you are looking with peace in their hearts. By the time awareness reaches this depth, the atmosphere around you is no longer subtle. What once felt like small moments of discomfort begins to arrange itself into a pattern, clear, deliberate, impossible to ignore. Because recognition does not arrive alone, pulls truth to the surface, and truth always demands consequence. There are people who sensed your light long before you understood it yourself. They studied you quietly, measuring what you might become, not with admiration, but with calculation. In their private thoughts, you were never just another passing face. You were a disruption, inside systems built on control, comparison, and silent hierarchy. Your calm unsettled their authority. Your presence weakened illusions they depended on to feel powerful. So resistance began to move in quiet ways. Opportunities slipping just out of reach. Misunderstandings forming without clear origin. Doors closing with no visible hand pushing them shut. For a long time, you called it bad luck. You searched yourself for flaws large enough to explain the weight pressing against your path. Because believing in random misfortune felt easier than accepting you were standing inside something intentional. But karmic tides do not whisper forever. They rise. And when they rise, hidden motives surface with them. Watch closely and you will see it. The same people who doubted you beginning to feel uneasy in their certainty. The same voices that dismissed you growing quieter, less sure, almost watchful now, not because you fought them, but because something beyond both of you has begun to move. Karma is not revenge, it is revelation, balancing so precise it needs no witnesses, no announcements, no applause. Only timing. And timing is shifting. You may not see the full change yet, but you can feel the pressure building beneath the surface of ordinary days. Like thunder waiting behind a clear sky. Like a door unlocking somewhere you cannot see. Because the moment karmic balance begins to turn, nothing built on illusion can remain standing. The real question is no longer whether justice is coming. It is this. When the truth finally reveals itself, who will still be standing beside you, and who will be exposed by the very silence they once hid behind? There is a quiet shift that happens after truth reveals itself, not outside you, but within you. It doesn't arrive like thunder, it doesn't demand attention. Instead, it unfolds slowly, like dawn replacing a night that felt endless. And one morning, without warning, you realize something undeniable. You are no longer asking for permission to exist. The same stares that once filled you with doubt now feel different. Not lighter, but clearer, as if a hidden language has finally been translated. You see what lives behind people's eyes. You sense intention before words are spoken. And most importantly, you stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Because the greatest secret they hoped you would never discover is that your uncertainty was the only place they could reach you. Without your self-doubt, their whispers lose power. Without your fear, their silence becomes empty. Without your need for approval, their control disappears completely. And this is the moment everything begins to change. Not because you fight. Not because you prove anything. But because you stand, calm, aware, unmovable in a way that cannot be taught, only remembered. Some people notice immediately. They feel the distance growing, even if you never take a single step away. Conversations become shorter. Masks slip faster. The energy around you rearranges itself, separating what was never meant to stay. Others react differently. A few are drawn closer, almost relieved, as if your strength gives silent permission for them to stop pretending too. These are not accidents. They are alignments, souls meeting at the exact point growth becomes unavoidable. And then, there are those who watch from afar. Quiet. Careful. Uncertain. Because power that does not announce itself is the most unsettling kind of all. You begin to understand something profound. Being chosen was never about being admired. T was never about being understood. T was about becoming a mirror strong enough to remain clear, even when others throw their darkness against it. This realization doesn't make life easier, but it makes it truer. And truth carries a peace no illusion can imitate. For the first time, you stop asking why people stare. You stop replaying old wounds searching for explanations. You stop mistaking loneliness for failure. Because you can finally see what was always there beneath the confusion. You were never alone. You were separating. Separating from noise. From false belonging. From versions of yourself built only to survive environments you were never meant to remain in. And as this power settles into your bones, a new question rises, quiet, but impossible to ignore. If this strength was growing inside you all along, what is about to happen next that requires you to be this ready? There is a moment, rare, quiet, almost invisible, when everything that once felt confusing suddenly becomes still. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. The questions that used to echo inside your mind begin to fade. Why do they stare? Why the silence? Why the distance, the tension, the unspoken weight in ordinary rooms? And in the calm that follows awakening, the answer rises without force. They were never reacting to who you pretended to be. They were responding to what you truly are. All along, something greater was moving through your life with precision you could not yet see. Every uncomfortable glance, every quiet betrayal, every door that closed without explanation, none of it was random. It was alignment, separation, preparation. Because before light can stand fully in the open, it must first learn to walk through shadow without losing itself. And you did. You survived the doubt that tried to rewrite your identity. You endured the silence that tried to convince you that you were invisible. You walked through betrayal that tried to teach your heart to close forever. But instead of breaking, you became clear. Clear in sight. Clear in spirit. Clear in purpose. And clarity is dangerous to anything built on illusion. This is why the staring never stopped. Why certain people could never fully meet your eyes. Why others watched you as if waiting for permission they didn't understand. At a level deeper than words, they sensed truth awakening in real time. They sensed a life no longer controlled by fear, a presence no longer asking the world for approval to exist. Some felt peace near that freedom. Others felt exposed by it. A few tried to resist it. But none of them could ignore it. Because when someone finally stands in who they were meant to be, the unseen becomes visible. The silent becomes undeniable, and destiny stops whispering. It speaks. Not in noise or spectacle, but in quiet certainty that cannot be shaken by opinion, rejection, or delay. You begin to notice the change in simple moments. Rooms no longer feel heavy when you enter. Decisions come without endless second-guessing. Paths open where confusion once lived. Even solitude feels different now. Not empty, but sacred. Like space created on purpose so something meaningful could finally arrive. And this is the revelation most people spend lifetimes avoiding. Being chosen was never about standing above others. It was about standing true among them. Unafraid to see. Unafraid to feel. Unafraid to walk forward without needing everyone to understand the journey. The staring, the silence, the strange sense of recognition, all of it was pointing to one truth you were meant to discover in your own time. You were never searching for your place. You were becoming it. And now, the waiting is over. Not because the story ends here, but because this is the moment it truly begins. So the next time someone looks at you and says nothing, do not question yourself. Do not shrink. Not look away. Simply breathe. Stand in the quiet strength you fought to remember, and understand what their silence has been saying all along. They see it too. Empowerment-based call to action. Invite viewers to comment, "I see now," or "chosen," to seal their awakening. Subscribe for continued spiritual revelations, and join a growing unseen community.